What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to YGOPD. I like making these types of videos a little closer with what the community anticipates to be a very meta warping set, and Age of Overlord feels like the definition of meta warping. We just got rarity reveals and box opening from creators a couple days ago, and I wanted to share a quick 5-minute video of my top 5 cards that you'll want to get from Age of Overlord. I know most of these might be obvious, but hopefully this is a quick and helpful resource to keep everything in one spot as you prepare yourself, your deck, and unfortunately your wallet for Age of Overlord. So let's talk about the top 5 cards to get from Age of Overlord. Let's start with one quick honorable mention that I don't think makes the top 5, but is still worth mentioning. That is Tistina. Honestly, if you picked up Tistina in its initial release, you feel like you hit a small jackpot seeing some of the new support. It's pretty crazy. Konami is doing a pretty solid job with back-to-back low-key banger releases for TCG exclusives, first Gold Pride and now Tistina. The stuff is really promising, as I'm sure you'll see on screen. The level 1, the quick play spell, the level 2, and even the XCs are all really solid, if you haven't seen them already. Even the current stuff, the Ultras and Secrets from Duelist Nexus are, at least right now as of recording on Sunday, all about $6 or less. So for what may be a total of $60 if you don't have any of it, it might be worth getting up all the new and the old stuff as a sleeper pick to maybe run back at a regional or even a YCS just to try something out. So either way, this support looks super promising. Number 5, Horus. Now, don't get me wrong, Horus is really solid. I think a lot of people may be not too sure how much of a splash it's going to make, since you do need a deck that really supports it, discarding and praying that you make a card like Coach King can go through to help recoup some of those discards. If you're going to run the engine, you need, I think at minimum, at least 3 copies of the main secret, the main monster, and then 2 of the Ultra Sarcophagus spell, in addition to any of the other level 8s to your preference. Maybe not the other secret, but maybe a couple others. At least 3 different names, right, to make the Coach King or whatever XCs you want. This is an engine I'm really keeping an eye on. It feels kind of like Bestial, where maybe it's not immediately relevant or it fades in and out and doesn't impact the game right away, but the price might drop a little bit and then it might be time to nab those cards up. Number 4, the Sinful Spoils engine. All of you know I have been obsessed with Rescue Ace for the past few months, and even outside of this deck, any deck that uses level 1 fires, this is going to be the engine for you. The Volcanics, the new TG stuff, Infernoble, people are trying it everywhere, and you've seen some of the combo videos or even some of the results in the OCG, you kind of get why. Sadly, this engine is burning holes in wallets, at least with 1 secret Dark Witch, 3 secret of the Wanted poster, and 1 of the Ultra Searcher for the Sinful Spoils to turbo out the level 1 fire. You're looking at a pretty penny, but if you want to up your game and put your deck over the edge that abuses an engine like this, you can't play without it. It's just not going to be the same moving forward. Oh, and don't forget, if you don't have a Jet Synchron, you should get one as well. Those cards are creeping up, and there aren't too many printings of those. Number 3, Ken and Gen. If you've seen anything from the sets, I'm sure this is what you've seen the most. People clamoring and being the talk of the town, these 2 bad boys. If you've read them, you still don't exactly see why. I'll try to break it down really quick. They each have an effect to special the other one to the opponent's field. If you have a Ken, for example, you give them Gen, and vice versa. They each also have a mandatory effect when they're summoned from the other. That's said to say if I summon Gen, for example, and give you Ken, you as the opponent are forced to activate Ken since it's a mandatory effect whether you want to or not. That not only gives me the advantage to draw 2 and discard 1 for the case of having Ken, but also turning on cards like Talents or Thrust while you even have a monster, which is insane. People have already been tinkering with stuff like Dark World Hand Loop or even trying to revitalize decks like Phantom Knight. Expect these commons to make quite the big hit. If you see people just leaving these lying around, you can give them a new home. Grab them and test them out. See what you think. Number 2, Super Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis. Jesus, that is just quite the name. Out of every card, I think this is my low-key number 1 pick, even though it's at the number 2 slot. There's other cards that are just a little bit better, but because it's an ultra rare and it had such a high impact, it's going to be in almost every deck, and it's going to be pretty affordable. I think if you're only able to chase after a card and maybe you're debating on spending $20 for a Premier, a set of 5 packs, or maybe just getting a card or 2, this might be where you go. Punishing cards like Zeus and Big Omni and Big Negates is a little bit too good to pass up. If you want to throw in maybe an extra $20-ish to the mix on top of that card, adding the DDD engine is kind of wild to bait a negate, get a pop, gain 1,000 life points, make a Zeus, clear the board, and even throwing this on top of Zeus after seems kind of wild. So definitely keep an eye out for this guy. Number one, we all knew it was coming. It's SP Little Knight. I know some that don't really like the fact that you're choosing between buying a box or getting stuff from the set. And if you have to pick literally one card, this is probably it. If you're in an unfortunate area like I am, where you're not getting boxes for 65 to 70 and more like 80 or 85, which is unfortunate for me, I have to pick the singles a lot of the time. So Little Knight changes absolutely everything about how the deck plays. It creeps Nightmare Unicorn. Donner isn't just the same. It's just not. You need this card. It's going to be a lot better and a lot different. If you can only get one thing, this is the holy grail of the singular chase card for the set for every player. And that's it. That's my top 5 cards with a little more sprinkled in for Age of Overlord in just about 5 minutes. What are your top 5? What hidden gems have you seen that look really cool? What cards are you looking for in addition to these? Let me know in the comments below. With all that said, I will see you in T-minus 6 days for the premiere events for Age of Overlord. Good luck with your polls, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.